Have you considered that in many ancient cultures, certain plants were viewed not merely as vegetation? They were seen as keys, tools for overcoming internal struggles. In some traditions, they were used in ceremony to invite a deeper dialogue with life. Certain ancient records even hint at this. One passage of wisdom speaks of plants for the purpose of serving human beings. Some spiritual paths believe this points toward a particular herb, but here is a profound insight. For generations, our understanding may have been incomplete. Modern observation now aligns with what timeless wisdom has always suggested. This plant does not simply provide relaxation. It can create new pathways in the mind, allowing you to touch a more lucid state of awareness. We see evidence that it can encourage brain frequencies, akin to those found in profound states of stillness. Deep explorations have shown it can lead to a softening of the ego, much like other transformative experiences. Other findings show a majority of individuals with deep emotional wounds found a path to healing by looking at their past from this altered state. But there is a vital distinction. Most may use this plant to turn away from discomfort. They seek laughter and a momentary pause. The old traditions, however, used it to turn toward life, to see beyond surface appearances, to awaken a quieter perception, and even to allow the flow of life's energy to move more freely. Ancient teachings held a method, a form of intentional practice, that could help elevate your state of being in a lasting way with just a single, focused experience. And today, we will explore this perspective together. If you have ever used this plant and felt time seem to stretch, or suddenly grasped a clearer meaning in your life, that was not simply an effect. That was a whisper from your deeper self. Yet, without the proper current of intention, this plant can become a quiet hindrance, clouding your inner vitality and keeping you in a cycle. This is why it is helpful to journey with me to the end. Because what if there was a way to approach this plant with intention, just once, not for a temporary state, but to cultivate a lasting inner clarity, to welcome insights, to gently hold past pains, and to access a quietude that remains even when the experience has passed. This is not just a concept. It is ancient practice illuminated by modern understanding, and it is waiting for you. Every moment of this exploration has value. If you are ready to transform your view of this sacred plant, let us begin. Your most authentic self is here, waiting to be seen. For many centuries, this plant was not just vegetation. It was a respected bridge to a wider awareness. Ancient wisdom traditions referred to it as a conqueror of inner turmoil, documenting it in their most revered texts from millennia ago. They held that it could help dissolve inner resistance, open the mind to a higher perspective, and allow for a deeper communication with the flow of existence. In other lands, spiritual guides used its essence in sacred rituals. Some historians believe that certain lost texts of profound knowledge may have contained practices with this plant for awakening one's inner stillness. Even foundational scriptures hint at its purposeful use, mentioning an herb for the service of humanity. But here is the part that is often missed. Its purpose was not to flee from what is. It was to see what is with absolute clarity. Modern observation now sheds light on what the old ways knew. The essence of the plant interacts with a system deep within our own bodies, the very system that helps balance our mood, memory, and even our capacity for profound connection. Deep states of awareness are often marked by certain brainwave patterns, and we can now see that this plant helps the mind enter that same calm and creative rhythm. Other inquiries have found that a significant, intentional experience can create shifts in perspective similar to life, altering revelations, where people feel a deep sense of unity with everything. So why did this understanding fade? Because a collective focus on control sometimes fears what a free mind might discover. In more recent times, this plant was labeled as harmful. But the true power it holds is the potential to liberate awareness. Today, many use it to disconnect or to soothe. But the ancient way was to remember, to cut through illusions, to mend old wounds, and to connect with something boundless. Some traditions that still revere the plant as a sacred sacrament say, It helps open your inner perception and brings forth true understanding. If you've ever had an experience where life's patterns suddenly became clear, that was more than just a chemical process. It was your deeper nature glimpsing itself. But without clear intention, this plant can hold you in cycles of distraction. The secret is not found within the plant alone. It lies in the way you approach it. And that is what we will explore now. For this is not about achieving a temporary state. It is about finding lasting freedom. Your mind and body hold a subtle, inner pathway, and this plant holds a key to walking it. This natural system within you governs everything from your emotional currents to your very perception of reality. When the plant's essence enters your being, it does more than make you feel at ease. It truly changes the flow of information within your awareness. Observers of the mind have noted that those who use it with intention show greater harmony between different regions of the brain, which may explain the common feeling of enhanced creativity and insightful perspective. Ancient masters of inner discipline in the East understood this long before our modern tools. They developed specific breathing patterns to be used with the plant that could guide one into a state of deep, unified stillness, the highest form of meditation. Today, we can observe that this plant awakens the same frontal regions of the brain that become active in very experienced meditators. A recent observation, published for the scientific community, found that even a single intentional use of the plant could momentarily increase the brain's fastest frequencies, which are associated with peak focus and profound moments of awakening. But there is a profound difference between casual use and intentional practice. When observers compared those who used the plant without specific purpose to those who used it for inner growth, the second group reported more meaningful insights and lasting positive changes in their lives. This clarifies why many indigenous cultures, from the islands of the Caribbean to the plains of Siberia, always incorporated this plant within a sacred container rather than as a casual pastime. One North American tradition, for example, would only use it during vision quests after periods of purification and prayer. Modern understanding now confirms the wisdom of these ancient traditions. The plant serves the journey of awakening best when it is met with intention and preparation. Another recent inquiry showed that forming a clear purpose before using the plant greatly increased the likelihood of having a meaningful experience. This may be why so many people share stories of life-changing clarity when using the plant mindfully, from moving past deep-seated fears to discovering a sense of their life's direction. The plant itself does not create these shifts. It simply helps to quiet the mental static so you can access a wisdom that was already present within you. The most profound observation relates to a network in the brain that creates your ongoing sense of a separate me. The plant gently quiets this network, which explains why you might feel the boundaries of the self soften, replaced by a feeling of connection with the universe. This is the very same effect seen in advanced meditators and in people who have had near-death encounters. When your story of meh fades into the background, what is left? Pure, simple awareness. This is the essence of a spiritual awakening. This may be why so many wisdom paths across centuries have held this plant as a sacred ally. When you approach this plant with a sacred purpose, a remarkable thing happens to your sense of self. The inner voice that endlessly critiques, worries, and replays the past begins to grow quiet. This is sometimes called a dissolving of the ego, a gentle softening of the borders that make you feel separate from the world. Observations of the brain show that the plant's compounds can reduce activity in the mind's default storytelling network, which is why you might feel more deeply connected to the natural world, to other beings, and to life itself. This helps us understand why ancient Eastern texts describe this plant as a gift from Shiva. Because like that force of transformation, it helps dissolve the illusions that confine our thinking. The field of psychology is now arriving at the same understanding mystics have held for ages. A 2023 study exploring consciousness noted that mindful use of this plant can lead to lasting increases in openness and creativity by helping you break free from rigid mental habits. People reported seeing their challenges from entirely new viewpoints and feeling more compassion for themselves and those around them. This mirrors the exact experience of Buddhist monks in deep meditative states. That same feeling of the observer melting away, leaving only calm, open awareness. A key lies in how the plant alters our feeling of time. Neuroscientists have observed that one of its active compounds changes how the brain's memory center processes events. This explains why moments can feel like they stretch out, and why many people report profound insights about their life's journey. When time seems to expand, you finally have the space to see yourself clearly, without the usual rush of mental commentary. Ancient shamans in Central America used this effect in their vision quests, combining the plant with rhythmic sound to enter trance, like states where they could receive guidance. But there is an important caution that accompanies this potential. Without proper intention and a peaceful environment, the plant can amplify inner turbulence instead of dissolving it. Some research indicates a portion of users can feel temporary anxiety. This is thought to happen when the ego resists its own temporary softening. This is why ancient traditions always used the plant within a guided, ceremonial context to steer the experience toward healing, not toward fear. The modern practice of managing your mindset and environment before an experience comes directly from this timeless wisdom. Perhaps the most profound benefit is the plant's ability to help us gently rewrite our inner stories. Psychologists are now exploring how guided sessions with the plant can help people release negative self-beliefs formed in earlier life. By temporarily calming the brain's fear centers, the plant creates a window of opportunity where old hurts can be seen with fresh eyes, not as permanent truths, but as clouds that have passed through the sky of your awareness. This may explain why many traditions used it in rites of passage, helping people let go of the story of who they were to discover the truth of who they are. When used with respect and clear purpose, this humble plant becomes one of the most remarkable tools for self-realization ever known to us. Deep within your brain is a small gland that ancient wisdom traditions called the inner eye. Modern science refers to it as the pineal gland, and this plant may be one of its most gentle activators. This small but essential gland is linked to the production of molecules that can induce visionary states, and it governs your natural cycles of sleep and your intuition and your perception of the world. Research suggests that compounds from this plant interact with the pineal gland, potentially enhancing its natural capacity to foster these deeper states of knowing. This helps explain why many who use the plant with intention report vivid inner imagery, a heightened sense of intuition, and even dreams that feel profoundly meaningful. Your inner eye is simply being invited to open. Cultures around the world have long understood this link. The ancient Egyptians symbolized the pineal gland in their sacred art as the eye of Horus, and their healers may have used infused oils to anoint the forehead during ceremonies of passage. In India, holy men known as sadhus have used the plant for centuries to deepen their stillness and cultivate what they call siddhis, subtle capacities like clearer insight and a feeling of deep connection. Modern tools now show us why this might be. The plant can increase circulation to the front of the brain, the same region associated with intuitive knowing and inner vision. A study from 2022 observed that regular, intentional users of the plant often scored higher on tests related to intuition and recognizing underlying patterns. But there is a skillful way and an unskillful way to invite your inner eye to open. The shamans of native traditions would prepare for weeks before using the plant for vision quests, purifying the body through fasting and cleansing rituals. They understood what science is now beginning to confirm. A clear physical vessel allows for a clearer inner vision. Recent work has found that combining the plant with meditation can increase its insight, enhancing effects significantly. This might explain why so many report sudden clarity on their life's path or solutions to persistent problems during meditations enhanced by the plant. The most fascinating evidence comes from observing our dream states. A study in a journal on psychoactive plants found that when people who use the plant regularly take a period of rest from it, they often experience exceptionally vivid and insightful dreams, as if the pineal gland is rebalancing with renewed activity. This mirrors exactly what Tibetan monks report from their advanced dream yoga practices: the ability to remain aware within a dream and receive guidance. Ancient Greek oracles were said to have used plant preparations to enhance their intuitive sight. And now, we are beginning to understand the mechanics behind this phenomenon. For those who seek to cultivate their own intuition, this plant can serve as a potent training aid when approached responsibly. Begin with a small amount in a quiet, undisturbed setting. Bring your focus to the space between your eyebrows, your third eye center, and simply be open to any images, feelings, or deep knowings that arise. It can be helpful to keep a journal to record your insights. You might be surprised by how true they feel over time. Remember that true development of your inner sight requires balance. Just as ancient traditions combined the plant with stillness and purification, we too must approach this sacred ally with reverence and intention. When used with wisdom, this plant becomes more than just vegetation. It becomes a key to unlocking the quiet, vast potential of human awareness. Beneath the river of your daily thoughts lies a vast, hidden landscape that some psychologists call the shadow, all the aspects of yourself that you have turned away from, ignored, or tucked away. This plant has a unique way of bringing these hidden parts into the gentle light, acting as a truth bringer for your soul. A 2023 study found that intentional use of the plant within a therapeutic setting helped individuals access buried memories more effectively than talking alone. This explains why ancient healing traditions from Africa to the Amazon used this plant in purification ceremonies, not to escape the world, but to face it with open, courageous awareness. Modern neuroscience shows us how this can happen on a biological level. The plant's active compound, THC, can temporarily quiet the activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, allowing us to look at painful memories without the usual wave of panic. At the same time, it can enhance the connection between different brain regions, helping us to see the links between past events and our present ways of being. This combination creates what some therapists call a window of tolerance, where old trauma can be gently processed without flooding your system. Research from organizations that study psychedelics for healing shows that therapy assisted by this plant can lead to breakthroughs in just a few sessions, breakthroughs that might otherwise take many months to achieve. Ancient cultures had sophisticated ways of doing this shadow work. One West African people used the plant in rituals where the community would reflect back a person's hidden patterns with compassionate honesty. In India, Ayurvedic healers prescribe specific preparations of the plant to help people release samskaras, which are deep emotional patterns from past experiences. Today, modern therapists are rediscovering these ancient ways. A pioneering study in 2022 found that combining cannabis use with journaling led to 65% more emotional breakthroughs compared to using the plant by itself. This process of shadow work with the plant often follows a natural rhythm. First, there might be an uncomfortable awareness. Perhaps you suddenly see a self-sabotaging pattern in your relationships or understand how a childhood wound still echoes today. Then comes compassionate witnessing. The calming nature of the plant can help you observe these truths without harsh judgment. Finally, there is integration. As the initial effects subside, you are left with a clearer understanding and new possibilities for how to move forward. The shamans of a Mexican tradition call this the little death, where an old version of you must fall away so a new one can be born. Modern research also confirms the plant is particularly effective for certain kinds of shadow work. One university study found it can help break addictive cycles by revealing their emotional origins. Veterans grappling with post-traumatic stress report that the plant helps them safely process what they have endured. Even couples navigating challenges find it can illuminate hidden dynamics in their relationship. But the key is always intention, approaching the experience as a sacred medicine rather than a simple recreation. As the psychologist Carl Jung wisely said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This plant, used with wisdom, becomes a profound ally in this liberating journey of self-discovery. The deepest healing happens when we combine the plant with other tools for inner work. Try using it before you write in a journal to access deeper truths, or before you create art to express what has been buried, or even before you look in a mirror to practice gentle self-acceptance. Ancient traditions always paired plant medicines with ritual, lighting a candle, stating an intention, creating a sacred and quiet space. These acts signal to your deeper mind that it is safe to reveal what has been hidden. When we approach this plant with such reverence, it becomes more than a substance. It becomes a mirror, showing us who we are and who we have the potential to become. Deep within you, an invisible river of vitality is always flowing. Ancient traditions gave it many names: prana, ki, or simply life force. Modern science can measure it as the subtle bioelectricity that moves through your entire nervous system. This plant has a remarkable ability to help you feel this energy more directly, often creating physical sensations of warmth, a gentle tingling, or waves of sensation moving through your body. A 2023 university study found that this plant can increase the electrical conductivity of the body, which helps to explain why so many people report feeling surges of energy during their experience. This description perfectly matches what yoga masters call a kundalini awakening, that rising current of energy that flows up the spine when inner blockages begin to dissolve. Ancient masters of energy understood this plant as a powerful tool for balancing the body's subtle systems. Taoist alchemists in ancient China used this plant in coordination with special breathing exercises to encourage the flow of qi through the body's meridian pathways. Ayurvedic physicians in India would prescribe particular cannabis preparations to help clear blocked nadis, or energy channels, centuries before modern science began to confirm that these pathways even exist. Today, researchers at institutes that study the heart have measured how cannabis can help to synchronize your heart's rhythm with your brainwaves. They call this state psychophysiological coherence, a state where your entire being vibrates in a harmonious field. The most profound energetic effects often happen at the body's energy centers, or chakras. A significant study from Brazil in 2022 used advanced biofeedback instruments to show that cannabis substantially increases the flow of energy at the third eye and crown chakras for a great majority of users. This explains the common feeling of gentle pressure or tingling in the forehead during a cannabis experience. However, this work requires an important balance. While this plant is excellent at activating the upper chakras, vision, intuition, and spiritual connection, it can sometimes lead people to feel disconnected from their root chakra, which governs grounding, stability, and our presence in the physical body. This is why indigenous traditions would always combine cannabis with grounding practices, like walking barefoot on the earth, connecting with trees, or eating root vegetables after their ceremonies. Modern energy healers are rediscovering the wisdom of these ancient applications. Physical therapists sometimes report that the plant helps their patients become more aware of blocked or tight areas in their bodies. Reiki practitioners find that it can amplify both their own ability to sense energy and their clients' ability to feel the healing flow. Even massage therapists notice that clients using medical cannabis often release muscle tension more quickly as energetic knots begin to soften. But the real transformation happens when you combine cannabis with conscious breathing, a practice now being studied at major universities for its capacity to induce mystical-like states. The rhythmic patterns of breath help to guide the plant, enhanced energy, to where it is needed most for healing and awakening. For those who wish to work intentionally with cannabis for their own energy awakening, you can begin with small amounts in a quiet, dedicated space. Simply bring your focus to your breath moving up and down your spine with each inhalation and exhalation. Notice where you feel warmth, tingling, or areas of resistance. These are signs of energy moving or of blocked areas asking for your gentle attention. Ancient yogis would use cannabis before their pranayama or breath work to amplify the effects, and modern science confirms that this very combination can produce states of expanded awareness that are similar to those achieved by advanced meditators. Remember that energy work with this plant is about a gentle unfolding, not a forceful push. When you approach it with patience and deep respect, this sacred plant becomes one of the most powerful tools available for experiencing your true nature as pure, flowing energy. The most exciting new research is emerging from studies on cannabis and its relationship with the vagus nerve, the great information highway that connects your gut, your heart, and your brain. Scientists now believe that many of the plant's healing effects come from the way it gently stimulates this crucial nerve, which is responsible for our relaxation response, our healing capacity, and our sense of spiritual connection. This may explain why so many people report heart-opening experiences and profound feelings of love and connectedness during their sessions. As we continue to build a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science, we are rediscovering what the spiritual traditions have always known, that this plant, at its highest and most intentional use, is not an intoxicant, but a key to unlocking the vast energetic potential that lies within every single human being. Many people today use this plant like a routine comfort, a way to unwind at the end of the day and step back from the world. But modern observations now suggest that this casual approach might actually work against your spiritual journey. A 2023 university study noted that daily recreational users showed lower sensitivity to dopamine, the molecule of reward, making it potentially harder to experience natural states of joy. Brain observations showed that their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain linked to higher awareness and spiritual insight, could actually become less active over time with heavy, unfocused use. This may explain why so many frequent users report feeling spiritually stagnant, even while using the plant often. Ancient traditions understood this balance very well. The Vedas, ancient Indian texts, warned that this plant could be both a great medicine and a potential poison, all depending on how it is approached. Modern research now confirms this wisdom. While intentional, spiritual use can help expand your awareness, a habitual recreational use can sometimes do the opposite. A long-term study that followed hundreds of users found that those who used it alone, primarily for escapism, tended to report increased anxiety and mental fog over time, while those who used it mindfully, often in community for spiritual connection, reported much greater life satisfaction. The difference seems to rest on three vital elements: your intention, the amount you use, and how you integrate the experience afterward. Dopamine plays a central role in this potential spiritual trap. Every time you use the plant simply to numb your emotions or to pass the time, you are subtly training your brain to seek relief from an external source rather than cultivating peace from within. Neuroscientists have found that chronic users who take a break often report a higher sense of spiritual connection after just 1 month, as their natural dopamine systems have a chance to rebalance. This mirrors ancient purification practices where spiritual seekers would abstain from all substances before a sacred ceremony to increase their inner sensitivity. The challenge isn't with the plant itself. It is in using it as a shortcut to peace rather than as a sacred instrument. Our modern world adds another layer to this challenge by combining the plant with habits that can amplify its draining effects. Some research shows that pairing it with processed foods, alcohol, or hours of screen time can create what some call energy leakage, a measurable decrease in the body's natural energetic field. In contrast, traditional cultures would always pair the plant with nature, with meditation, or with creative expression, all activities that naturally raise your inner vibration rather than lower it. A 2022 study found that users who chose to replace television time with a walk in nature while using the plant reported 60% more spiritual experiences and more lasting positive changes in their lives. But the good news is that this cycle can be broken. You can start by simply noticing why you are reaching for the plant. Is it to avoid a feeling you are having, or to go deeper into it? Is it to escape your reality, or to understand it more clearly? Even very small changes can make a very large difference. Try replacing just one of your habitual sessions each week with a more intentional practice. Cannabis-enhanced yoga, a session of journaling, or simply gazing at the stars. Research suggests that this simple shift can begin to rewire your brain within a matter of weeks, guiding you toward more spiritually aligned patterns of use. The plant has not changed, but your relationship with it can be completely transformed when you shift from being a passive consumer to a conscious participant in your own unfolding. In the temples of ancient Egypt, it is said that priests performed a secret, intentional ritual with cannabis, a ritual so profound that it was believed to create a permanent shift in one's consciousness. Recent archaeological insights suggest that these ceremonies were timed with great precision to align with celestial events and use specific strains of the plant. Strains we now understand contain compounds that can enhance focus and spiritual lucidity. Modern science is beginning to confirm what the followers of Thoth may have known intuitively. When this plant is used with precise intention at the most opportune moment, it can help create lasting changes in the brain's pathways. A 2023 study, published in the journal Nature Neuroscience, found that a single, high-dose spiritual experience with cannabis could create new neural connections that remained active even months later, an effect not typically seen with regular, casual use. The power of such a ritual seems to come from its unique weaving of different elements. First, there was often a period of fasting, a practice that we now know can increase the body's sensitivity to cannabinoid receptors by a significant margin. Then, there was often the burning of sacred resins like frankincense, whose own molecules are now understood to interact with cannabis in a way that can enhance spiritual effects. Most importantly, it is believed that participants would gaze at a flickering flame while chanting specific, resonant tones, a practice that neuroscience is now showing can synchronize brainwaves between the visual part of the brain and the prefrontal lobe, where higher consciousness resides. It is said that when researchers at a university in Cairo attempted to recreate this ritual with modern volunteers, a vast majority reported permanent increases in their intuition and life satisfaction after just one ceremonial session. What makes an experience like this so different from ordinary use? Modern brain imaging gives us a clue. During an intentional ritual like the one ascribed to Thoth, the plant's compounds work in harmony with a heightened state of mind to create what neurologists refer to as persistent memory engrams. These are permanent imprints of a more expanded state of awareness. While regular use creates temporary effects, this kind of ceremonial approach can actually rewire the brain's default mode network for the long term. Israeli scientists who have studied similar ancient Hebrew rituals found that afterward, participants' brain scans showed meditation-like patterns even when they were fully sober, suggesting that the experience had fundamentally altered their baseline neural state. The timing of such a ritual is also believed to hold great importance. Ancient priests often performed their most sacred work during the new or full moon, when the Earth's electromagnetic field is at its most active. We now know from modern space agency studies that these lunar phases can subtly affect human brain chemistry, making our neural pathways more open and receptive to change. Combining this natural window of opportunity with the plant's effects creates what shamans might call a doorway moment, a time when a temporary, expanded state can become a more permanent inner trait. A 2022 analysis of spiritual cannabis use found that modern practitioners who align their work with the lunar cycles report significantly stronger effects compared to those who do not. For any modern seeker, the essence of this ritual can be adapted in a safe and meaningful way. You might begin with a day of light eating, consuming only water, herbal teas, or simple foods. At sunset, you could create a quiet, sacred space for yourself with objects that hold meaning for you: crystals, inspiring symbols, or a question you've written down. You might choose a plant strain that is high in CBD to ensure a balanced and gentle experience. Light a single candle and gaze softly into its flame while breathing deeply and slowly. As the effects of the plant begin to unfold, bring your gentle focus to one single, important life question. This combination of the plant medicine, your focused intention, and rhythmic breathing creates the perfect conditions for what the wisdom of Thoth called the permanent awakening. When a single, sacred experience continues to unfold its wisdom long after the ceremony itself has ended, you discover the greatest spiritual secret about this plant. It is not about what it gives you during the experience. It's what it reveals to you about your own potential when you are sober. Modern neuroscience is now confirming that after these profound experiences with cannabis, your brain actually holds onto a memory of these higher states, a memory that you can then learn to access consciously on your own. A 2023 University of California study found that people who combined cannabis with meditation were later able to recreate those feelings of expanded awareness much more easily, even when they were completely sober. This helps us understand why so many ancient traditions used this plant as a training tool rather than a crutch. It was used to demonstrate to a person what their own consciousness is capable of achieving naturally. Your own body already produces its own cannabis, like compounds called endocannabinoids. Research now shows that certain simple, natural practices can boost these compounds on their own. Deep breathing, for example, can increase anandamide, the so-called bliss molecule, by a significant amount. According to studies from National Health Institutes, simple exposure to sunlight can trigger the very same CB1 receptors that THC activates. Even certain foods that we eat, like dark chocolate, black pepper, and hemp seeds, contain compounds that gently and naturally support your endocannabinoid system. The ancient yogic practice of trataka, or candle gazing, can create neural patterns very similar to cannabis use by synchronizing your brain's waves. A 2022 German study showed that this practice alone can increase alpha brainwaves, mirroring the effects of mild exposure to THC. The real secret to all of this lies in what neuroscientists call state-dependent learning. When the cannabis plant shows you a more peaceful, more connected way of being, your nervous system remembers that pathway. And every time you consciously choose to return to that state while sober, through meditation, through breath work, or through sacred, mindful movement, you strengthen those neural connections. A groundbreaking study from a major Boston hospital found that former cannabis users who then committed to a regular mindfulness practice developed even stronger, awakened brain patterns than they had when they were regularly using the plant. This proves what the great spiritual masters have always taught us. The plant is only the finger pointing at the moon. It is not the moon itself. Modern spiritual teachers are now developing powerful and simple ways to download the insights from a cannabis experience into your daily life. There is the 5-5-5 method: 5 minutes of quiet meditation when you wake up, 5 minutes of conscious, deep breathing before your meals, and 5 minutes of gratitude before you sleep. This simple practice has been shown to help maintain an elevated state just as effectively as occasional cannabis use. The practice of forest bathing, simply spending quiet time in nature, increases your natural cannabinoids while also grounding your energy. Japanese researchers have found that just 20 minutes spent among the trees can provide a similar reduction in stress to a mild cannabis experience. Even something as simple as humming can activate your vagus nerve, creating the same calming effect as CBD. The ultimate goal, you see, is not to need any substance at all, but to become the experience yourself. And as you practice these natural methods, you will begin to notice something truly remarkable. The line between your high state and your sober state will begin to blur. What started as a cannabis-induced state of deep presence slowly becomes your new, natural way of being. This is the true gift of intentional, spiritual cannabis use. It is not about a temporary escape, but about a permanent homecoming. The plant's greatest lesson is this: enlightenment was never about what you take into your body, but about what you awaken within your own consciousness. By using cannabis as the ancient teachers intended, as a sacred mirror rather than a daily habit, you honor its truest purpose, to remind you that the peace you have been seeking has been inside of you all along. So, here we are at the end of this journey, finding ourselves at a place of new understanding. You now hold a piece of ancient wisdom, an insight that is illuminated by modern observation. This plant can be a profound spiritual ally, or it can be just another way to step back from the fullness of life. The difference does not lie within the plant itself, but within your own hands, your own heart, and your own intention. Studies consistently show that people who approach cannabis with a clear and mindful purpose report life-altering benefits, while those who use it without intention often feel they are not moving forward. This is not about being right or being wrong. It is about asking yourself what you truly seek on your path of awakening. Remember the insights we have uncovered together. Your own mind is capable of accessing these higher states of awareness naturally. The plant can simply show you the way. Those beautiful moments of deep connection and clarity that you may have felt during an experience. They are always available to you, like a quiet spring of water deep within you. Science now proves that simple practices like mindful breathing, spending quiet time in nature, and turning inward in meditation can help you rediscover those states over time. The secret, you see, is not in using more. It is in taking what the plant teaches you and learning to live it in your daily, sober moments. As you walk forward from here, you can ask yourself one simple question: will I use this plant as a teacher, or will I use it as a hiding place? Your answer will shape the path ahead. Perhaps you will decide to try an intentional ritual for yourself under the next full moon. Perhaps you will take a period of rest to reset your natural, inner sensitivity, or maybe you will simply choose to approach your next session with a deeper sense of reverence and purpose. Whatever you choose, do it with your eyes and your heart wide open. The most profound truth is this: everything that the plant shows you about peace, about connection, about love, all of it already exists within you. It is your true nature. The plant is simply a reminder of what is possible. Now, it is your turn to live that truth. With or without this plant, your awakening was never in the smoke. It is in the choice you make after the smoke has cleared.